school sports are off and running. This week, rivalries are renewed in boys and girls sports. Plus, two of the biggest football programs in the region start their season with major matchups. See how they did against teams from Oregon and Washington. Plus, Craig Bernbach and Micah Rice of the Columbian join us as we look ahead to fall sports. This is your Clark County Scoreboard. Hello and welcome to Clark County Scoreboard. I'm Nick Bohl. This is our first episode coming to you from the studio at Vancouver Public Schools. We're working with Evergreen Public Schools, Battleground, and others to bring you the best of local high school sports. So let's start right off with one of the best local rivalries around, Skyview versus Columbia River. We begin at the newly updated Kiggins Bowl, where the Rapids and Storm faced off on a beautiful Saturday night. You can see the players were hyped as the season kicked off. For Skyview, the excitement continued as they jumped out to an early 7-0 lead on this Gabe Martin touchdown. Then it's deja vu all over again as Martin bowls his way into the end zone, 14-0 Storm. Next, it's Tanner Beeman's turn, hauling in this touchdown pass in style. He gives the crowd a little flex, and Skyview is rolling. Our final touchdown of the night comes from Jaden Knapp, and Skyview cruises to a 27-0 win over Columbia River. Coming up, we'll hear more about Skyview's chances to win the 4A Greater St. Helens League and River's outlook at the 2A level. Now to the Columbia River Gymnasium, where the Rapids hosted the Storm in volleyball. This time, Columbia River was large and in charge. This footage comes from the Skyview Athletic Department, so you'll only see Storm points, but River dominated this match, winning in 3 straight sets. 25-11, 25-21, and 25-19. Riley Reeves had 11 kills and 12 digs, and Lauren Dreves had 8 kills, 12 digs, 4 aces, and 4 blocks for the Rapids. And those are names you're going to hear again here in a moment as the Rapids take on Fort Vancouver High School. Columbia River looked good early, taking the first set 25-4. Set number 2 brought more of the same. Lauren Dreves was outstanding with 14 kills and 7 digs in the match. River took set number 2 25-7. Fort had a bit of fight in the third set, but it was just too much from the Rapids. Riley Reeves was on fire with 7 kills, 9 digs, and 2 aces. Set 3 went to the Rapids 25-12 as they swept the Trappers. River is now 2-0 on the season and looking tough as the league season begins. Mackenzie Stadium hosted maybe the 2 most exciting football games of the week, and joining us now with highlights and more is Craig Bernbach. Craig?
Thanks, Nick. Over here at Evergreen Public Schools, we're excited to be part of this Clark County Scoreboard show and are looking forward to showcasing our student athletes this fall. And we're going to start with a couple of high school football games that are hosted at Mackenzie Stadium this Labor Day weekend. First up, the Thunder of Mountain View, who rumbled their way to a big home win over Kent Lake. Adam Matheson's club had the offense working on Friday night against the Falcons. Achille Kamau is usually plays wide receiver, but because of injuries, he's playing running back. That's good because he can run. He dashes in from the 11, and it was 13-2. Thunder. While Mountain View's defense was doing its thing, the offense kept putting up points. Mitch Johnson throws it up to Kyle Chin, who was wide open, and I do mean wide open. And it was 19-2 Mountain View at the break. Second half, how about some more Johnson? And he is going to go with the bomb on this one. Jacob Martin, he's on the other end. He's going to get gone. 64 yards to the house. And the Thunder, they were a-rolling. Johnson, in his first career start as a quarterback, he was money. Here, he cashes in with a 29-yard pitch and catch to Aiden Nicholson. Well done. Mountain View wins this one. Their opener, the final, 46-2. Now, a lot of coaches want to test their team early on in the season with a tough out-of-conference matchup, and that was certainly true for Rory Rosenbach, as he and his Union Titans got a big-time early exam as they invited perennial powerhouse O'Day down from Seattle. Future Notre Dame Fighting Irish football player Tobias Merriweather got his Union Titans pumped up to take on, the Fighting Irish of O'Day. But it was the visitors that got off to a fast start as sophomore sensation Jason Brown, he's going to get loose here. He's going to splash and dash his way in from 80 yards out. How about this? Brown went for a ridiculous 284 yards rushing on the day and 3 touchdowns. O'Day led 14-3 at the half. But Merriweather is a top recruit for a reason. The guy has skills with a Z. Here he takes the short screen, and he is going to break some hearts, break some ankles, break off a little something. Union gets into the end zone on that 61-yard strike, and they were down just 14-11. Later, Titans down 10, and it's Merriweather again. A little razzle-dazzle as Merriweather takes the reverse and jets in for 6. Union down just 4, 21-17. But too much O'Day offense in this one. They can run and they can pass. John Kohler with the picture-perfect pass to Tucker Ashcroft here, and O'Day gets the impressive 35-17 victory. Now, there's no doubt that Union would have much preferred to start their season off with a win. But as I said, playing big-time teams early on often pays dividends at the end of the season. And that's exactly what Rory Rosenbach expects from his team, as he believes the Titans learned a lot against an O'Day team that has 4 state titles in their trophy case.
Super proud of the way we battled. We knew what they were. We knew they're, one of the best teams in the state at any level. They'll be playing on Thanksgiving. They'll be playing in December. We know that. I mean, it's just going to happen. I was really proud of the way we battled. I thought we played awesome on defense the first half. On offense, we just got to be a little more efficient. We had some good things going, but we'd always make some mistake as soon as we got across the 50 to kind of kill a drive. And against a great team like that, you can't do that. I thought we played better in the second half, but we started running out of gas a little bit at the end. It's tough. Those guys are huge, and they lean on you. Every year, it's kind of that first game is the same thing. There's just the pace, especially on offense with which we play at, has to get faster, and it's hard to teach that until they feel it on Friday night. So I think, we needed to do this so that we can get better for week 2. But really it's just about seeing the signal faster, getting lined up quicker, being able to just playing with a better, more of a sense of urgency so that we can affect the pace of play a little bit better. With our kids, it was like, hey, this is a marathon, guys. It's not a sprint. You don't win a week champion or a state championship week 1. You don't win a league championship week 1. You're just trying to gauge where you're at. And for me, I was pretty proud of how physical they played. They didn't back down from them big dogs. They went right at them. And we're going to get better, and we'll come back next week, and we'll give Mountain View everything we got.
Yep, as Coach mentioned, Union can't relax this week because they're right into that rivalry game against Mountain View on Friday. And that big game is part of our EPS Sports coverage this week, as we're going to have that game and the Evergreen Washougal matchup. Of course, you can watch it live on Comcast Channel 28 and 328 or on Evergreen Public Schools YouTube channel. And of course, we'll have highlights right here next week on Clark County Scoreboard. Nick, Week 1 was a lot of fun, and we're excited for a great fall sports season where we highlight football and EPS's other fall sports teams. For now, from the Evergreen Public Schools studios, I'm Craig Burnback. Back to you in Vancouver.
Thanks, Craig. Another massive matchup this week happened in Oregon City, where Camas took on Central Catholic. Both teams have championship aspirations, albeit in different states, and this game did not disappoint. You can see here on the opening kickoff, Strider Todd Fields for Central Catholic returns it 99 yards to the house, and the Rams take an immediate 7-0 lead. This footage comes to us from our friends at the Columbian. Central Catholic goes up 14-0 on this tipped pass interception as Solomon McDaniel cruises in for the touchdown. Camas gets on the board here with Luke Jamison pushing his way across the goal line. 21-9 Rams at this point in the third quarter, but the Rams have an answer. Jordan King hauls in a 13-yard touchdown pass, and it's 28-9 Central Catholic. Luke Jamison scores again here for the Papermakers, but it's too little, too late, as Central Catholic wins 28-17. Let's head out to Washougal as the Panthers take on Prairie. After a fumble recovery, Alex Ford scores from 7 yards out to give the Falcons an early lead. With the two-point conversion, it's 8-0. Thor Stepina gets a pair of second quarter touchdowns as Prairie turns it on, up 24-0 at the half, and he's not done. After a big interception by him to stop a Washougal drive, Stepina turns on the Jets, scoring another touchdown, this one for 73 yards to put this one away. Holden B puts one on the board late for Washougal, but Prairie rolls 44-6. Joining me now to talk about this fall season is the sports editor for the Columbian, Micah Rice. Micah, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here and happy to see high school sports back and on their regular calendar again.
So I was excited to see football return as well. We saw two local Titans go down hard. How worried should Camas and Union fans be?
Talk about jumping right into the deep end. If you're Union, you take on a perennial 3A powerhouse, a program that consistently turns out college level recruits. And really, yeah, O'Day was the better team. They were the bigger team. They dominated the line of scrimmage with the running game, but Union held tough. And I think non-league matchups like this can only serve to improve the team, give you a great measuring stick of where you are, what you need to work on, and getting that confidence that you basically face the best. And so you're not going to be overwhelmed with anyone yet that you might meet down the road. Same with Camas. They go across the river to face another perennial state title contender, a program that has just a litany of players that have come out. They're going all the way back to Joey Harrington, in Central Catholic, and I think Camas learned a little bit about areas they might need to shore up a little bit. It sounds like from our report there that it was a little bit of a sloppy game, especially to start, but especially when you have a new coach in Jack Hathaway that you're trying to set the tone for the season. Taking on a high quality team like that can only set a good baseline.
So Skyview in their first game of the year easily took care of Columbia River, their rival. Skyview a 4A team, Columbia River a 2A team. Not a lot to take from that game necessarily, but we know that the 4A Greater St. Helens League is going to be 3 competitive teams this year. How do you see all that shaking out?
Well, I think if you look back to the spring season and the short abbreviated experience that was basically a 3-team toss-up. Union, Camas, and Skyview on any given Friday, either of those teams could beat each other. I think our pick to win the league is Union. I think they have the depth, and they obviously have a stellar athlete in Tobias Merriweather, who everyone knows about. So I think that they're probably kind of the popular pick to win, but Skyview, they obviously have a lot of size on the line. They have some great athletes in Gabe Martin and some others that Nick Ariola at quarterback. And so I wouldn't count out the Storm. And then, of course, you have the pedigree at Camas even though Coach Eagle has moved on and you have Jack Hathaway taking over that program, or at least right now on an interim basis. You're never going to be able to count out Camas just because of the high standards and the baseline that we've set. And additionally, you have a lot of players, especially on that defense, that played as sophomores in the 2019 state championship season. And so Camas is going to be right there. It's going to come down to those, the kind of that 3-team round robin situation that it always comes down to in the 4A GSHL, with how do Camas, Union, and Skyview stack up against each other. One thing goes crazy and you might end up with another situation where all 3 teams finish in a tie.
At the 2A level, we know Hawkinson is the reigning champ. What do we see happening at that level?
The one team, and they showed in really impressive fashion in week 1 that I think we should look at in the 2A is Ridgefield. Ridgefield had an excellent, they were basically a couple plays away from knocking off Hawkinson in the spring. And so I think the Spudders, even though they kind of have a new cast of characters, especially at quarterback, Coach Scott Rice has elevated that program where I think Ridgefield can expect to be contending for league titles year after year. And so with what they did in shutting out Heritage in week 1, a Heritage team that by all measures is supposed to be pretty good on defense, and Ridgefield scored 40 on them. And so I'm really looking forward to what I see as being sort of a 2-horse race for the league title between Hawkinson and Ridgefield.
Let's move back up to the 3A level now. We saw Mountain View highlights earlier. Who should we be watching at the 3A level? Is Mountain View the team to beat?
Obviously, you mentioned Mountain View, and they're just so good and so experienced, and they showed it with just a dominating week one performance against a little bit of an undermanned Kent Lake team, but obviously Mountain View is the favorite. Below that, things get really interesting. Coach Christian Swain at Evergreen, he's got that program on a great trajectory. They had a dominating win on the road against Centralia. And so they have playmakers that I think are going to make them a threat. And then really impressive showing in week one by Prairie. We mentioned a little bit a few seconds ago with Washougal. They're no pushover, and Prairie went in and dominated them with basically a brand new set of characters. Coach Mike Peck has had to basically remake and reload that team after they're 2 years removed from a league title, and so they struggled in the spring. But I think what you're going to see is a lot of teams are going to maybe use some rough times from the spring that they endured to be better this fall, because that wasn't that long ago. Those memories and those games and that all those practices are still fresh. And so, obviously, Coach Peck, he has one of the more innovative offensive strategies that you'll see among teams here. And so I think maybe some of the struggles they had with in the spring season, those lessons have been learned now. And so Prairie could be a kind of a dark horse team that people should not overlook.
Now let's turn to the big girls sports in the fall, volleyball and soccer. Let's start at the 4A volleyball level. Who do you see being successful there this year?
I would look at Skyview as being a team to really watch here, and that's a team that consistently has gotten better. They're experienced, but it's the same thing with Camas and Union are always going to be there, kind of right on their heels.
How about the 3A level?
Well, Prairie is always an interesting team to watch at that level. Obviously they have a program that's turned out college level players recently. Zoe McBride comes to mind. And so I would tag them as an interesting team to watch at the 3A going forward. Maybe a team like Kelso might present a challenge to them, but in the 3A usually it's Prairie. That's a team that you can kind of follow and expect to be right there when it comes down to it.
Now the 2A, who do you see winning the 2A Greater St. Helens League in volleyball?
2A really is the cream of the crop and has been for volleyball in this area recently. You have the two-time defending champion Ridgefield Spudders, who they've obviously lost a lot of their experienced players from that 2019 championship team, but that program is just going to reload and be right there, I think, at a top 5 state level team. Columbia River obviously is a team that also has been right there. They made it to state in 2019, and so I think it's going to be an interesting showdown between the now we call them the Rapids ever since the name change, and the Spudders. That's a budding rivalry, I think, at the 2A level.
Finally, as a sports fan and sports reporter, how gratifying is it to you to see the fall season be sort of like normal again?
Boy, if 2019 and 2020 taught us anything, it's never to take anything for granted. And so just the fact that we're talking about football and not about restrictions or what the state's going to do or what the WIAA might have to do to keep people safe. We're back talking about athletes and the games, and that's just so refreshing, because that's where the focus honestly should be. Is it's such a short but important time in these young people's lives. We love telling their stories and watching them grow and achieve and accomplish amazing things, and so that's where I'm glad that the spotlight is going back onto those things, on the amazing accomplishments of these young women and men that really represent their community in such a good way.
Micah, thanks a lot for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Anytime. See you soon.
Of course, you can find Micah and his team of reporters covering local high school sports at Columbian.com. They're also fantastic to follow on Twitter, especially on game days. Two of the top girls soccer teams squared off last night, and it was full of drama. Camas and Hawkinson. Parker Mayers gets things going in the 15th minute for Camas, coming off a pass from Nora Melcher. That one finds the back of the net, and it's 1-0 Camas. Here's a bit of that drama I mentioned. Emerson Grafton of Camas is fouled, and then Maya Parman converts a penalty kick to give Camas a 2-0 lead. More drama in the second half when not one, but two Hawkinson goals are called off. The first because of a foul, the second because of a handball. Those two non-goals were the difference in the game, and Camas wins 3-1. Maya Parman spoke to the Columbian after the game about using last year's success as a springboard.
Going into summer training, we all had that same mentality that we're just going to keep it going from next year. We're going to keep that same rhythm. We had a great season last season, so we just want to keep it moving for this season.
Hawkinson also has its eyes on a league championship this year at the 2A level. Athletes at Hudson's Bay High School are getting buff thanks to a new and improved weight room. This is the football team at Bay pouring into the weight room for the first time since the remodel. The improvements are part of a bond measure passed by voters a few years ago. It's getting rave reviews from students.
This stuff is fly.
This video came courtesy of Building the Bay, the football team's YouTube show. In each episode, Coach Ray Lyon shows us different elements of the program. Google it and subscribe. It is a lot of fun. There are a bunch of sports broadcasts coming up on Comcast Channel 28, 29, and 328 for HD. On Thursday, September 9th, VPS Game Time has Skyview versus Union in volleyball at 7:30 on Channel 328. That same night, Battleground TV brings you Battleground versus Prairie and girls soccer at 7 p.m. on Channel 29. On Friday the 10th, it's football from Mackenzie Stadium, brought to you by Evergreen Sports. Washougal takes on Evergreen at 4:30, followed by Mountain View and Union at 7. Plus, BGTV will have Skyview versus Battleground at 7 p.m. on Channel 29. All of these games are also available on the individual districts' social media feeds, so make sure you check those to find the links to the games. And speaking of the interwebs, let's get social with our posts of the week. We started in Ridgefield where the Spudders knocked off Heritage, and you have to think the Spirit Squad here helped. It's a great image of what high school sports is all about. Our next post comes from up north where the Kelso volleyball team is hoping to have another good year. In Kelso, they say, "We bleed blue and gold," and if you've ever seen a game there, you know it's true. Finally, some fun from the Fort Vancouver cross-country team. They had a social media day. Kids posed for photos and got ready for the first race of the year. Coach Owen Frazier and his team are looking tough again this year, and we'll have them on the show next week to talk cross-country. To end the show, here's our play of the week. Tanner Beeman runs a perfect out pattern, and the throw is right on the money. We have two angles of this play. Not a lot you can do as a defender against this. Skyview beats Columbia River, and Tanner Beeman gets our play of the week. And that's it for us. This is our first episode, and we'll have one every week through the fall season. If you like the show, make sure you share it. I'm Nick Vole. We'll see you next week.